Ready? Yes. So we talked about ITIL. Let's talk about ITIL evolution. We started about in 1980, where we started with 42 books, right? ITIL version 1, and you have Ivor here, he could vouch for that. And we moved on to version 2, again, which was 9 books, but then familiar with service support and delivery. And now within service lifecycle. If you look at the whole perspective of stakeholders who have vested interest in this game, is your practitioners, your consultants, your tool vendors, you have people from media, and the owners. Of course, now Axelos is eyeing big on ITIL, right? But if you look at, if that has been there, how do you attract talent to your company? Now it is all to do with how do you attract the right talent, which is having trust, an environment to grow, and also making sure that you are able to listen to people. Listen is important. And that brings up the factor of cultural factors, right? You need to talk about top-level buy-in, customer insight, but the real point is, do you have a strategy of customer-centric processes? Do you really work with them and understand what makes a good service performance management? Now that's where I had an opportunity to work across different cultures. So one of the things that excites me is when you do an ITSM implementation, it's all to do with what kind of context of cultures you're working. Is it the high context cultures like India, Asia, or the low context cultures? If you want to know more, you can look at Hofstede's cultural dimensions, which is talking about power distance, the masculine and feminine characters, the ability to influence, the whole aspect of bowing in front of a senior and so on and so forth. It's very fundamental in order to implement it. And that's where you need to have an organizational change management, pretty important for the development aspects. So it starts with awareness, building understanding, engaging, and there could be two sets of audience. You cannot have everybody being a positive promoters, it could be distractors. Now what's happening today? You have Service Manager Congress, which happened in the US, where a bunch of folks said, we want to do something different. So they collectively hold it themselves and said that let's vouch for it and sign for it that we will build a community. Then there is Christian, who's going to talk about the TSF is taking service forward. If you look at this dimension, one of the key elements is relationship at the top, the engagement factor, and that's getting even more important in the way we do business. If you don't focus on that, you don't do it. Now, with ITIL Manifesto that came in, we also started with ITIL Manifesto. So that's me. I want to have a picture of mine as well. When I spoke across, we had the whole crowdsourcing coming from back to ITSM, talking about what we need to change after ITIL version 3. Now there is Open Group, which is the IT for IT, if you heard about it. That is going to talk about a holistic enterprise architecture. We're talking about time to value, right? How is it really achieved in the whole perspective, right? From strategy to portfolio and go on until deliver. Now I'm a big fan of ABC, attitude, behavior, culture. At the end of the day, it's not about B2B, it's not about B2C, it's H to H, human to human. So you need to understand the unearthing behavior of attitude, behavior, culture, work as a team to do that. Look at typically how ITSM implementations have been happening across. You started with your maturity assessments, gap analysis, come up with recommendations, do a phase-wise implementation, communication and rollout, continuous service improvement. Have you just thought about what does it break up when it comes in? The breakdown of the cost of an ITIL project is about 30% of process re-engineering, 40 to 50% is more of culture. Now that's the big factor. We undermine that, we have all the big process tools. They said, I bought ITIL, it didn't work, right? So how did we evolve, right? Initially from the ITIL version 1, we had this process, then we focused on tools. There's a lot of tool vendors here, so they're the big fan of us. Then we have docs, standards that we have got, ISO 20000, Erin is here. We went up with a service-based approach, but now we've gone to a collaborative approach. Look at these. Last time, we used to find our friends with cell phones. Without cell phones, right? With the cycles. Now, see a bunch of ladies, pretty good, and then they're working on that, and everybody's walking to that. So Einstein's statement holds good there, right? Now, this is a statement where people want to de-stress themselves. So they have the mask in front of them in order to work in this workplace. See how things are changing. People are into enormous amount of stress. Do you really require that kind of stress to operate across? Let's make it light, this way kind of stuff. And this is the theme of ITSM superheroes in Norway next year. So everybody wants to become a superhero. Everybody wants to have, yes, I have the control. But just think about it. Listen to Kirsty's session of ban the ITSM heroes. We don't need superheroes. We need people who could share knowledge. We need to have a collaborative team, so if someone moves up. And that's where this ITIL Practitioner, Kaimer has been a strong proponent of having a crowdsourcing approach. We have selective architects who come across to join hands to have something practical. What we earned as part of ITIL does not do it. So finally, what do we need? We need focus on people. We need to be sensitive to cultures. I bang on that, right? Understanding the emotions of customer. We don't need to have IVR. We need someone to vent out our feelings. have a collaborative workflows, and be a strong community. Together, everyone achieves more. Thanks a lot.